It's been a day since I've laid hands on the game. That is mainly because I have been doing more important things, not things like going on holiday or anything of similar concept, but rather I've been listing off some important things that have been experienced in the past. The listed off differences with the original game in this went as follows. Most likely everything in it is alive, and also has proper wildlife activities such as migrations or battles for territory. It also, if possible, knows the host's past, most likely from some kind of witchcraft. It knows its host is watching the screen and is either taking screenshots or recordings. Either most of or all of it knows the host's name too. It's most or all because it isn't completely confirmed. If the host's name is discovered, then most likely most of the game's habitants will think that it's the playable character's name. And lastly, the game creates a connection with its host. With these things in mind, I should be able to know what other paranormal abilities this cartridge could wield. I've even shown the previous owners some screenshots of this new content. They didn't know what to think about it, but we all hope that this will be the beginning of the end. Now to get to the first world. Infeveck. So, the out-of-place content story begins. I mean, damn, this is very out of place, if we were referring to the original Monster of Monsters game, that is. So to start off, Infeveck has a somewhat purplish pink color to the board. The music was a sort of jungle theme, with the sounds of gentle drum taps and an occasional creaking sound. The levels are as follows: Heat Plains, Forest, Doe Valley, Artifact, and Artifact Pedestal. And the enemies, in which I have no idea what they are. Now to start the first level. Heat Plains is a field of stone and dirt, with occasional dead trees and somewhat empty ponds, and mountains in the background. The music was a sort of wavy and odd sounds in the background with a sort of piano. The usual enemies consist of small grubs that don't harm you, but rather feed on what plants they find. Most of the dangerous enemies don't usually appear. At this point in the level is this pair of giant ants. Probably sprite versions of the ants from the movie Them. The ants are backing away while growling at the big grasshopper, so naturally I decided to block its path, and it decides to reply with slashing at Solomon. I think I should slash back. Oh, never mind, nature just did the honors. At this next moment the music disappeared and, is that Doe? He seems to be standing behind the broken tree. I walk to him, but then this happens.
Don't make a sound.
I decided to listen to his instructions and be quiet. Eventually the screen pans over to this. To be fair, that wasn't exactly terrifying, but very interesting to see, the raptor from Entropy and the chameleon from Terra, battling to the death on Infeveck. I'd suppose that they are either native or were released onto the planet, and that battle was like what would normally be seen with actual real-life combat between two wild animals. Either way, after that, Doe starts talking.
In case you were wondering, I was trying to get resources to live off of, and I kinda just got sidetracked. Well, I guess I should be going now. I hope to see you again.
And after that the level ended. I actually kinda like what this planet has so far. I am in high hopes. What's next? Time for the next stage. Forest is, well, a forest. And I know what you're thinking, no shit Sherlock. But this is a purple and pink forest. The music sounded like it was say kind of gentle guitar strumming. The creatures in this level are mostly either vegetarian or small carnivorous or omnivorous creatures, all of which were essentially docile. 2 minutes went by as if nothing new occurred. But now all the wildlife is fleeing for their lives. And then this happens. And just like that, I'm fighting a mini-boss. The music shifts into an epic drumming and some other instruments I don't recognize. I suppose this will be a sort of occasional mini-boss theme. Anyways, Arachnoranus is a very powerful adversary mainly for a starting enemy. Its attacks include its legs being used as weapons for stabbing its enemy. As shown here, it is managing to stab red. But eventually I am deciding to shoot flames at it in return. Arachnoranus is, despite very menacing and strong, very simple. He later on decides to attempt to bite at red in a possible last resort. I wouldn't have known what bad side effects would have occurred. Because I burned his dumb spider face off.
Don't worry, it's less sad because they don't bleed.
Oh look. It's Stowe. Let's see how he's doing.
Good to see you again, friend. Now let's get to my secret area. I found something we could use.
Doe Valley is a village of Doe species? I mean, it makes sense now. It's actually very cool now that I think about it. The music is a nice happy song. Perfect. We then get to this stalagmite, and Doe starts to talk again.
I have an offering for you. It's behind that rock. I'll get it for you. Here you go. I think it'll be very important.
Thank you. Oh cool. I can get collectibles. I seem to need 6 more of these battery mechs. I wonder what importance these things will be. We might find out once we beat the game. And now that the levels are complete, it is time to move on to the boss monsters. This reptilian folk is Rhedosaurus, whose music is Gezora's theme. I actually have seen that this beast from 20,000 fathoms only in black and white. So this design actually does make sense. His energy move doesn't have any beams or anything like it. But he can use his energy to toggle a sprint ability to speed up movement. His powers, despite being interesting, doesn't succeed anyway, as he is now fried by the lightning. This next foe is just a person in a wheelchair.
Men, form up Crippletron!
Never mind. With his theme being Defiance, Crippletron is a very interesting boss monster. His energy allows him to shoot his paraplegic fingers like missiles. But instead of regaining his energy over time, random paraplegics appear and climb onto his hands, and thus regaining energy. Crippletron's health can also be restored with the same mechanic. Except the paraplegic has to crawl into his body or other parts. Nonetheless, I managed to defeat him. When it happened, he and the other paraplegics collapse into a heap. And a cutscene starts to play. Now that the enemy monsters are defeated, it's time to get through the last 2 stages. This should hopefully be easy. Artifact. This kind of feels anticlimactic, to be fair. It's just a purple grassland.
Well, if it isn't my 3 favorite people in the universe.
It's this Killjoy.
It all felt like a blur. This thing just appears. I could use this moment to try and talk to the game. So I shall ask who it is.
And someone new? I might as well introduce myself to you. My name is Crickens, and I come from the planet. like someone has gotten bloodthirsty.
If you hadn't been concentrating, you would have fallen victim.
But I haven't, so that doesn't matter. And you will all be dead. Not from me, though. I'm too unready for an actual fight. Instead, I have a better thing in mind. You shall meet my little friend, who's here to keep you company, while I enjoy life for
And suddenly, boss fight with the artifact. A very unique concept, if I have to say that. The music is a very epic tune. Probably the best so far. I'll let you listen to it. Very epic. But anyways, Karas Gorgon is not only very big, but also very powerful. His Paswat is most likely a powerful melee weapon. And his spit can cause not only intense damage, but also knocks flying enemies out of the sky. As shown, it is actually very effective. This isn't very good. At this point, I think I'm done for. But Do just came along, and is forming with the others of his kind. With the odds going knee-deep in my favor, I could more easily bring down this giant. It'll be easier now that 4 or 10 things are attacking Karas Gorgon. It'll barely have any chances of living. I'd still have to be wary of what is happening around me. One small slip-up could cause a horrible chain events, so it's best to use the heat beam most of the time. After Karas Gorgon died, his crest came off and stood in place in midair. That's one artifact gained. Time to take it to where it belongs. I guess this is associated with the artifact pedestal. Speaking of which, I will head to now. Artifact pedestal is a mechanical facility with purple glow. There isn't any music, and there is alongside the expected pedestal a teleporter.
It was good to have you around.
Well, I'm glad I could get here and get the artifact. And being given assistance from you is a great thing you have decided to do. But I must go now. I hope we get to cross paths again. So, after that cutscene in the facility, that artifact ended up in the bottom of a gate. I most suppose this will be like what happened with the Sin bosses. I'm gonna have to take a break from this. I think I have seen enough for today. My excitement for the next world will be ready for maybe tomorrow, maybe next month. But anyways, Phil Thompson signing off.